Hi there, and welcome to another interview. Today I've got the fabulous Nick with me, and I'm going to ask Nick the question I ask absolutely every guest. Hey, Nick, why did you become carnivore?
Hi, Stephen. Thanks for having me on. So why did I become carnivore? So I've always been a very active person. I've been in the military for 15 years, still in the military. So being physical and things like that and the gym was always a massive part of my life, I suppose. But it got to a certain point in my life when, let's say, things weren't going very well for me. Hit a bit of depression, bit of anxiety, things like that. And that happened for a few years, coupled with a bad shoulder. Had to have shoulder surgery, which sidelined me for a number of months, and I ended up packing on a ton of weight as well. Um, Now, when I was in my early 20s and mid 20s, it was always easy to remain in shape. I'm sure a lot of people can relate to that sort of thing. Um, I did the old calorie restriction and next to no like next to no calories in order to get shredded and stuff like that, and constantly hungry and things like that. But you put up with it because you wanted to be in shape. Um, so fast forward then, when I piled all this weight on, it was I was sort of past the age of 30, and I was struggling to get rid of it. I was still depressed, and my anxiety was kicking in. I'd read a lot of things about the carnivore community, the ketogenic community, people like yourself, Richard Smith, Anthony Chafee, Bill Schindler, all the guys that speak about carnivore, ancestral diets, and things like that, and how easy it is to lose weight. So I primarily did it to lose weight and to get back into shape because nothing I was doing was working at the time. Even though I had all the knowledge and all the from previous experience to lose weight. It just wasn't working anymore. So I went carnivore about 8 months ago, and it's like my life changed dramatically. Not only did I lose the weight, I got back into shape and things like that. My performance in the gym, my output went up, um, and so I did it for the physical side of things. But in actuality, what I felt the most benefit from was the mental side of things. So my mental health improved dramatically. I went from having um, a lot of depression and anxiety and drinking heavily and things like that, constant cycles of drinking, thinking I would never be able to stop drinking again, to a point where I've not touched a drop for 8 months, and I don't even think about it. So yeah, so the mental side of things, I didn't even go into it with thinking that was going to improve, and that's the best thing about it, I think. And the aesthetics is probably something like a secondary sort of bonus at the minute. So yeah, long story short, 8 months ago, lost. I started at 106 kilos, and I'm now sitting around 86. So that's about 20 kilos lost in that space of time. So I'm well
Wow.
happy with that.
Yeah, and I must say, for people that listen on an audio podcast, it's definitely worth trying to find the images because Nick's before and after. We were speaking before the interview, and I was saying the befores some people would be happy with, but the difference in the last 8 months is amazing. And there's also one thing I have to say. Sorry, Nick, I don't normally do lots of bits, but there will be people watching saying, no, all that was because he stopped drinking. No, when you go carnivore, it gives you the ability to stop drinking. That's a big difference. If you're
100%.
on carnivore, yeah, it changes everything, doesn't it? It changes
I
the
mean,
environment.
it something switched in my brain, which and I think what carnivore does as well is it kept me accountable as well, because I sort of think, not only do I know cutting out alcohol is going to be good for me, but that alcohol that I was drinking has X amount of carbs, and I didn't want to ruin my progress in that way. So it's a two-pronged attack almost. So yeah, it kept me accountable, and also as soon as I became fat adapted, that switch just hits, and then yeah, it was plain sailing from there, and not looked back since.
Brilliant. And
There,
so,
there is that the dreaded keto flu. I tried keto before a few years back, and it did work, but I did go through that dreaded keto flu, but anyone that's considering doing the carnivore diet or is worried about that keto flu, it's just maybe a week, maybe some people 2 weeks, but just push through that and then little switch goes and then you're away.
Yeah, see, now you have the knowledge. You can look back and think, oh, maybe I could have stuck on keto and got through the keto flu. And I think that's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
thing. When people go low carb, keto, then carnivore, they've been through it all. And then you can look back and decide where you want to place yourself, to be honest. I mean, I think I'm best when I'm strict carnivore. Maybe, you know, around the holiday time, I'm not as strict, but I'm still probably stricter than most people. But I think that's very interesting. So were you training? So when you were finding it hard to lose weight, was you still doing the things that you do now? Like, were you training and obsessing about food? And
I was training. I would say I'm training with higher intensity now, purely because I've got the energy to do so, and purely because I've got that drive to do so. But the only thing that really changed was the fact that I switched to a carnivore diet. Yeah, so my training output's always been quite high, but I was training, but coupled with drinking and eating pretty rough diet. There's that old saying that you can't out train a bad diet. And that's exactly what I was trying to do to no effect. Like I piled on the weight, and then as soon as I went carnivore, I started noticing mental effects and then the physical effects, and then it becomes the norm, but it almost becomes like anyone that trains, you get it comes back to you and you get that addiction again. You start seeing the abs come back and the muscles start popping out, and you're like, yeah, this is the way forward, definitely. I will say though, in hindsight, knowing what I know now, I would probably, because I went balls deep straight in carnivore, feet first, no carbs, and then you get the keto flu pretty bad. In hindsight, I probably would maybe incremental changes, give my gut a bit of time to adapt to the changes as well, because obviously you can get a dodgy stomach on it for a few weeks until you adapt. But yeah, best thing I did really.
yeah, I think that's great advice. Some people are just, they have to go all in because that's their personality. It's all or nothing. And if they do the transition slowly, they just sneak back going the wrong way. But I think you're right. For the majority of people, a slow transition just reduces all the side effects. And it is just easier to occasionally, week by week, cut something out, lower something. I mean, Richard Smith and I did the Fat Club. And that's basically what that is. For 8 weeks, you're taking something out, but replacing it always. So you're not restricting. And actually, you end up eating more and feeling fuller and all that sort of stuff. What about your friends and family? I mean, did they think you were a bit mad to do it?
Yeah, they still do. Sticulate, my daughter all the time says, "Oh, what are you having for dinner, Daddy? Just meat again?" And I'm like, "Yeah, just meat, butter, eggs, the usual." I mean, she eats with me occasionally. She actually enjoys it, but trying to tell a kid not to eat sweets and things like that, it's the right nose. But yeah, lads at work know what I eat and stuff like that, and they think I'm crazy, but the results speak for itself. Do you know what I mean? So I just put up with that.
So yeah, I mean that they must see the results. So are there any of them that were skeptical, thinking, "Hey, maybe he's onto something"?
So my boss, actually, one of my who's higher than me in the hierarchy, said he actually came up to me and said, "Oh, you're looking really good at the minute. What are you doing? What are your thoughts? What?" Yeah, basically my meal plan, my training. So I just told him, read this book, do that, do your research, go carnivore, and he's on the carnivore train now. So and he's starting to look really good as well. So yeah, the word does spread, but yeah, most people just think, oh, you do what you keep doing, mate. It's working for you. We'll just keep eating our diet. So you can't
Yeah,
you can't convert them all.
no, you can't. And I think that's the thing, though. Just being the example and letting people come to you. That's the thing. And we all know the stats about vegans within 3 years, 84% give up, I think, something like that. And 90% of the 84% quote health reasons. And I've not seen that on carnivore. So I just think, I mean, I've been 5 years, I've been coaching 5 years. Don't have many people, I can't think of any really, that have not enjoyed it and not improved on it. So that's good. And how old's your daughter then?
Oh, she's 4. She's 4.
Oh, right. Oh, you're plenty of time then
Yeah. I will
to
say one of the bonuses of carnivore is, as opposed to the old calorie restriction and things like that, because we all know calories not a calorie and things like that. But I'm never ever hungry ever on a carnivore diet after I've eaten. So the old style of eating, if you're on the standard Western diet or if you're dieting, I was eating, hungry again, eating, hungry again, constant cycle of just food, food, food. Whereas I'm 2 meals a day now, so I'll have a big lunch and a big dinner, and I'm never hungry after that. So full all the time, which is a
what
bonus.
sort of,
I like to feel full. I'm one of those people that likes to have a big meal and feel that I've eaten.
so you mentioned to your boss about a meal plan, but it's pretty straightforward, isn't it, for you? 2 meals a day. Do you eat them at the same time every day?
Depending on what's going on at work, I will. I don't sort of think I used to do, well, I still technically do intermittent fasting, but I will only break my fast when I'm hungry. If I'm not hungry, I won't break it then. Or if I'm really hungry, I'll break it early if I can, time permitting. But generally, I'm normally hungry around 11:30 to 12:30 ish, normally on a regular day. So, and I'll stop eating around 8 o'clock once I've had my last meal. I
Do you
don't
eat at
tend to
work?
snack in between either.
Do you eat at work?
Right. So I live at work on the barracks. So I live here, so I cook here. When I'm home with my daughter, I've got a house not too far from you actually. That's where I am at the weekends. So I have all cooking facilities here. So yeah, I do most of because the food in the military is not brilliant. So I won't say go to the cookhouse and eat at the cookhouse. I'll do all my own cooking here because I know what I'm putting in my food.
Cool. So how much are you eating, do you think? I mean, I know we don't really tend to go with calories, but if you were to sort of have a guess, what do you think you're eating a day?
I would say probably in excess of 3,000 calories if we were to put a calorific sort of number
Mm.
on it. And to lose weight before, I was eating around the 2,000 calorie mark. And I don't even, like you say, I've stopped counting calories now. I just eat until I'm full, eat until I'm satiated, and that works for me. So a typical day's eating, I'm quite, I'm adventurous with my food, but when it comes to work and nutrition, I eat pretty much the same things every day and then get a bit creative at the weekend. So a typical day looks like for lunch, a lot of eggs, whether I scramble them, fry them, tend to scramble them, maybe about 6, 7 eggs, big slab of meat, whatever the meat I've got in for that week. I do eat pork. I don't tend to eat a lot of pork every day, but I do sort of eat that side of things. So I'm not scared of bacon or anything like that. Meat, eggs, bit of cheese, and that's my lunch. And then fast forward to the evening, it's usually a steak or mince meat,
And it's so easy
and
to
then
cook, isn't it?
then eggs again, eggs and a bit of cheese.
Yeah. I mean, I did an interview, which is out in first week of January, and she was saying no utensils, hardly any utensils in the kitchen. It's all so easy to clean. And people have asked me, can I have a meal plan or a recipe thing, which I have done for the app and the website, but it is so straightforward. I think it's only when people haven't done it that they realize or they think they need those sort of things. But once they've done it for a couple of weeks, it's very
Yeah, it's you.
intuitive.
Yeah, like one of my mates says, "Oh, can you just give me a meal plan?" And like you say, I'm like, it's meat, eggs, dairy. You eat as much of that as you want until you're full, and then that's your meal done. And then you'll find out where your sort of benchmark is for how much you need for each day. And then shopping becomes a breeze as well. I'm in and out of the supermarket or butcher's now within minutes, because I'm not fanning about in all the crap aisles, do you know what I mean? Or even the vegetable aisles. I'm straight to the meat, straight to the eggs, straight to the cheese, and then that's it. Me done.
Yeah. So what about your training? How often do you train?
So at the minute I'm training 6 days a week. Um, I probably should throw in maybe an extra rest day, but at the minute 6 days a week is I'm finding that I'm not too sore or anything like that. So push, pull, legs, and then repeat that. So I'm almost training the body parts twice in 1 week, and I'm finding that's really helping me at the minute. It's been really beneficial to train each body part twice, get that what's the word I'm looking for? Get the volume in.
Yeah, and I mean that's perfect. I mean, I'm a big fan of push pull, maybe adding some legs in, because a lot of people leave the legs, and it's really obvious.
Yeah,
Leg day, you can't spell legendary without leg day, by the way.
there you
So,
go.
yeah, 6 days a week is good. I mean, you look awesome.
Thank you.
You mentioned earlier about your shoulder and you had injuries. I mean, has that sorted itself out?
So yes and no. I still do feel a bit of a lack of range of movement in my shoulder. I don't think that's ever really going to go away, but yeah, everything's fine. I can still get my training done. Another thing to mention as well is, again, before when I was dieting, I was doing tons of cardio to stay in shape. Whereas now I'm literally minimal cardio. Like I don't do, I'm not saying cardio is a bad thing or anything like that, but I'm not really a fan of cardio. I don't know many people that are. Well, Rich is actually, he's in his triathlons and stuff like that, but uh, I tend to do it more just to keep myself ticking over, maybe a sprint session a week, or maybe a slow and steady, um, to sort of keep ticking over, and so I'm not
Yeah.
unfit, so to speak.
Yeah, I think what you're sort of skirting around is people think you can only get ripped or lose fat with cardio, and that's not the truth. That's not knocking cardio. It's just that you don't have to do it. You can do your
Yeah, yeah.
exercise.
I considered it as a necessary evil back in the day, but now I don't have to do it. I can still remain. I think I found my sort of my natural body weight now. I've gone to this way of eating, so I'm not losing any more weight, because initially people were like, "Don't lose any more weight. You're looking not all, like ill," but they thought I was ill because I've lost so much weight in such a short amount of time. But I've sort of hit that equilibrium now. So around 86, 85 kilograms is sort of my natural sort of weight now. And it's not really shifting. I'm eating as much as I want, and I'm not going up or down. And I think that's a good thing about this sort of style of eating, as like we've been eating like this for millions of years. It's only recently that we've started eating all the plants and all the processed food and stuff like that. So I think people that need to lose weight will lose that weight. And also similarly, if you've been malnourished and whatnot, and you're a really skinny below weight, it will bring you to that sort of middle part where your body naturally wants to be, where your DNA is telling you to be. So that's my belief anyway.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on that. So just for context, then, how tall are you?
I am about 6'1".
So 85, 86 kilograms, 6'1". That sounds pretty good to me, pretty lean. The pictures look amazing. And your strength has gone up. So if you had any advice for someone that was thinking about doing carnivore, but they were sitting on the fence, what would you say to them?
It seems restrictive at the start, and once you get over that hurdle and you get past the keto flu, something just switches and everything becomes easier. Like, it sounds a bit wishy-washy, but every aspect of my life has genuinely improved. So physical performance, the weight loss, the mental clarity, the my ability to cope with stressful situations a lot better. like everything's improved. So if you are struggling, if you might be in great shape, but you're not in great shape mentally, give it a go. And I was like taken aback of how much my mental health improved just by switching my diet. It was unbelievable. So if you're on the fence, just do it. Get some electrolytes. Get prepared for that keto flu. Push past that barrier, and once you're through it, easy after that. You don't even have to think about shopping, eating. Thing. It just happens.
Yeah, you've just pressed the buzz button there with the word electrolytes. So I'm going to ask you: do you just drink water, or do you drink water with electrolytes? What's your
No,
liquid?
I drink water majority of the day. I do use. I've got some line about somewhere, but Richard's plug here. I'll plug Richard. But yeah, the Keto Pro. I usually use that at least once a day, and it's normally either before or during sort of training when I'm sweating a lot. So I wished I'd known about that when I first went through that keto flu stage, because I've no doubt that would have helped me loads with the keto flu.
Yeah. And it's so obvious because people know that you lose water weight once you stop having carbohydrates. And for those that don't know or listen to this for the first time, because I get new viewers a lot, if you haven't subscribed, make sure you do. When you start reducing carbohydrates, because every single glucose molecule is surrounded by 3 water molecules, if you stop eating refined carbohydrates, you lose the water weight, but you also lose some electrolytes. And so it's really simple. It's really simple to just make sure that when you first do it, you got your electrolytes in your drinks. And I get no commission off of Richard, by the way, but I just feel we should tell people, because if you can mitigate those transition issues, and keto flu is definitely one, then I'm all for it. And I think that it's really interesting that you've mentioned the mental health a couple of times, because to get people to watch this video or listen on the podcast, I tend to talk about how much weight you've lost. But this has happened all year. When people start talking about the weight they've lost, they actually are more interested in their health. And your mental health has been a big issue. I could tell just from the fact you dropped it in the conversation so much. Is that something that other people have commented on as well? So it's maybe you're more calm or you're happier. Have they noticed it?
100%. I mean, friends, family, people at work. So my output in work's a lot better. I'm coming in on Mondays, fresh as a daisy. Close family members like my mum and everything like that. Obviously, people that were worried about me at one point. Like my mum said to me the other day, "I'm so glad you sorted yourself out. You're a completely different person, and I don't worry about you anymore, so to speak. Like I do worry about you, but I don't worry like I used to." So yeah, I mean, like I said before, I was all about the aesthetics, but the biggest improvement for me was the mental side of things. So the mental clarity that you get with it. So yeah, well happy with that.
Yeah. I mean, just going back to working out, sorry, I know we just covered that, and I should have asked you, how long do you spend in the gym? I know you said 6 days, but what about the actual period of time in the gym?
I try and keep it to an hour. Sometimes I'll get chatting in the gym and I'll run over that hour. But if it's just me and my headphones, I'll be about the hour mark. Um, yeah, anything longer than that, start to feel not drained, but I start to feel like it's my training's less effective. So that hour in, out, done. And I'll always, if I do train cardio that day, I'll always prioritize my gym workout first. And then if I want to do any cardio, I will eat, finish my day, and then throw my cardio in later on in the evening,
And like you
normally.
say, you're doing sprints and stuff like that, sprint intervals. So what do you do on a push day? What's your
Push
main?
day, because of my shoulder injury, I don't do barbell bench. So I'm an advocate for dumbbell. So to get the stabilize the muscles and everything firing, make sure there's no inadequacies, because what I was finding was my right was taking over when I was doing barbell over my left, and that was probably not helping things, creating a bit of an imbalance. But yeah, as soon as I switched to dumbbell press, that helped a lot. That's helped my shoulder no end. So yeah, a lot of pressing movements and a lot of flying movements. I like throwing a lot of supersets as well. So I'll finish as much as I can, say on the dumbbell press, and then I'll drop those, and then I'll get the lighter weights, and I'll fly straight into flies until they're really fatigued. I like doing that sort of thing. So yeah, I'll spend about, I'd say, 3 exercises on chest. I'll do one big superset on shoulders, because I think with the shoulders, you tend to do a lot of your shoulder whilst you're pressing anyway with your chest. So I don't tend to hammer the shoulders as much. I do sort of some pressing movements into some lateral raises, and I find that's enough for my shoulders. One, because I don't want to re-injure them, and two, I feel like they're not like lagging behind at all. I feel like they get worked enough with the press anyway. And then into my triceps, and then triceps I'll do last couple of supersets on that, and then good to go.
Yeah, that's excellent. Thanks for a lot of detail there. Is your shoulder, was it dislocated, your shoulder? Do you actually know what the diagnosis was?
So it was something to do with my rotator cuff. The physios couldn't work out what was really up with it. And then it turns out that I don't know if it was the result of, or this was the actual injury itself, but I had like pockets of like gristle that was impeding on the like sort of the joint. So they got taken out, and it's been a lot better since.
Can you do pull-ups?
Yeah, I do pull-ups. So on a pull day, I will always start with 4 sets of pull-ups. I've been notoriously, like my whole life, I've always been really bad at pull-ups. So um, since it's got easier since I've lost the weight, but I'll always do 4 sets of pull-ups, normally between sort of 7 to 12 pull-ups per effort.
Yeah, that puts you in the top 4% of people that go to the gym, by the way.
Oh, does
Because
it?
most people can't do 10 pull-ups.
Oh, really?
96%. Yeah. My mind is working overtime because I do rehab, and my shoulder, I've rehabbed a few shoulders actually, and my shoulder was like that up until my 40s, where I would feel that restriction, but I've completely sorted that. So that might be something in the new year to talk about, because
Yeah, sure.
feel pretty convinced I could get that back to a range of motion. One thing I would try, this is a freebie, is dead hanging. I think that might be beneficial for your shoulder, which is just basically
What, both
hanging from the,
hands or just hanging
yeah,
with the
but no, both
one that's?
hands when you start. Yes, I mean when you get cocky about it, yeah, go one-handed. But yeah, if you could do like a minute, or actually do a dead hang, time it, and send us an email about how long you did the dead hang for. Be very interested in that.
Yeah, give it a go.
Right. But that's gone off this topic a little bit. Sorry, because everyone's tuning in to talk about carnivore, really. But I think it's all part and parcel of health. In my profession, I've had, I speak with people that are obese and diabetic, but also I do rehab for people on joint pain. So that's brilliant, Nick. So I think we've covered everything. You don't need to give your address out and spell it out, because I'll put it in the description, so people, if they want to check out your page, they can do that by just clicking a link. And it's been brilliant. So lastly, you mentioned Richard there. How did you get involved with Richard Smith then?
Gosh. Basically just doing my research about the diets and things like that, and then I came across his YouTube channel. He goes into a lot of detail, and obviously, yourself, goes into a lot of detail. Very knowledgeable guy. And yeah, I can't remember how, but we got talking by Instagram, I think, and I said, "Oh, I showed him the before and after," and he was like really impressed with it. He was like, "Wow, that's some transformation. Do you mind if I use it on the channel?" So yeah, he's probably going to put it up on his at some point as well. So yeah, I tune in every Sunday, isn't it? Your carnivore chat. There's always something there always some research that I don't know about and nuggets of information. So I always tune into that.
Yeah, well, I want to thank you for doing that, for tuning in, because that's what makes the channel grow. You know, people coming back and then telling everyone else about it. So, Nick, thanks for doing that. And
Thanks for having me.
I'll see you in 2024.
Yeah, see you later, mate. Thanks for having me on.